John's still not, okay.
Come on, John.
I know you're ready. That John's ready.
Rolling.
We're good? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us at the Wednesday, August 7th, 2024 regularly scheduled Marquette Township Board meeting, and we're going to start with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
sir.
Yeah, watch these chairs that you don't slide away. Okay, roll call, please, Randy.
Okay, Treasurer Rick Hour is absent and excused this evening. Trustee Winslow,
Present.
Trustee Kidda,
Here.
Trustee Everson,
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Secretary is here and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
So staff present is Manager Kangas, our Attorney Roger Zappa is here, and our Finance Director Kim Clark is here, and our Public Works Superintendent Lenny Bodinas is now on Zoom.
Okay. Do we have any emails from the public or
Nope.
anything we need to worry about?
Nope.
Okay, nobody in here unless somebody wants to share? Okay. So tonight's consent agenda consists of approval of regular meeting minutes and closed session minutes of July 17th, 2024. We have bills payable in the amount of $160,666.04. No other committee or other reports. I did throw in the abbreviated packet from July 17th of 24 for the Solid Waste Management Authority. And just one update on that, since I reported to you last meeting that they were spending $249,000 for some parcels that were adjacent to the landfill. I've been corrected. They only bought one of the three that were available from Odavero. So it's $13,500, which is a whole lot better, and they had the money. It was 13.88 acres. They're gonna use it for some runoff. So I wanted to clarify that because there was nothing in the packet that said that it was just one parcel. And then the close-up survey was kind of interesting too on the utilities side, so I put that in there. So I just need.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest with this agenda, and we don't have any privileged comment this time. We will next time. I guess Marina's coming to our next meeting for senior services.
And library.
She's coming in August.
Yeah,
This is August.
Library
You're
will
right,
be
the next
there.
meeting.
Yeah,
already.
the next
And the
meeting.
library, okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the regular agenda as
Support.
presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, community linkage, we're just sailing here. A few things to share. I did want to comment on Under Sheriff Wiley's passing. That was very sad. I did put a notice up on the website where they asked for comments and told him thank you for, you know, his years of service and that we appreciated what he did for the township, and just, you know, condolences to everybody, just so you know. Planning Commission meeting talked a little bit about blight. They're still working on that, and Linda can comment on that, but there was a lot of discussion on the 550 area and Lake Enchantment Road, and I just want you to know that they are working on that, because that's been brought up numerous times. I did attend Lake Superior Community Partnership meeting, and the county, kind of a dual breakfast they had, and they spent a lot of time talking about K.I. Sawyer and the flights and what they're trying to do to improve service, get extra planes, get extra shifts. So that's something that the county felt it was important enough to actually have an hour-and-a-half meeting, and, you know, statistics and the presentation and everything, but they are spending some money out there, and they want to make sure that the public gets what they need. Next agenda, I will show you the an updated tax tribunal spreadsheet. I haven't had one in a couple years. So I did get it in time for the packet, but then I caught a couple things, sent it back to the treasurer, and she said, oh, yeah, okay. So by the time she gave me a new one, it was too late for the packet. So I'll put it in next time so you can see what we've lost and what the community's lost. I did have a chance to visit with the CEO and the director of the Michigan, I'm not sure if he was the director of this facility for the veterans homes or something in the state. His name was Ryan. I spent a couple hours visiting with them separately about the vet homes. They're so excited to be here. I imagine we'll see a site plan, I'm guessing, that they should have to come to us,
Some point.
right? Yeah, okay. We did get, we should be getting $250,000 for the flooding that we experienced a few years ago. That'll be mostly from the county side administering it, but some of the areas that we had troubles with, we're getting a few dollars, $250,000, so that was good. I've gone to a couple county commission meetings. And the one last night, they had their audit too, as well as we got ours. Anderson Tackman does theirs, and they have 282 days of fund balance available to them, which is like 9 months or so. Not too bad, but the auditor said a lot of it was because of the last tax increase we had on property taxes. If you remember, they went up 5% because of the way we, what's the word I'm looking for? The state.
Leak cap.
Yeah, but that's still.
That
not
means
the
we're
word.
gonna have more money for roads, right?
Well, I don't know about that. They might give it to the road commission, I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyway, they, figure 63% of that balance is from property taxes, so a lot of it is that 5% increase that we have. And I did go last night too, because they were gonna talk about the bonding for the Solid Waste Authority and how that's going. And Tom came on from Miller Canfield Bond Council to talk about it and answer questions. And the chair's question was, we put in a letter of understanding with a bunch of conditions that go along with this bonding. And he wanted to know of Miller Canfield, how is that gonna be implemented? And Tom said, we don't do that, we're just your bond counsel. So I'm guessing the attorneys are gonna have to get involved with that. And I'm not sure how that's gonna work because the authority's attorney is on the county board. So some of that discussion in the audience kind of softly was bantering about. And I believe Renovari is supposed to have a site plan for the planning commission next week, so also you're aware of that, that's what we're told, in case you wanna see that or something. That's all I had. Anything you guys are hearing from anybody? How about the election? Do you wanna
I'll do
talk about
that,
later?
I'll do that under
Okay.
announcements.
Sounds good. Okay, we've only got 3 agenda items, so let's jump into those. Consider quotes for water tank inspections. I'm sure that's Lenny, probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lenny's coming on here.
Thanks for joining us.
So this is just going to be for routine tank inspection that we're supposed to be having done every few years. We kind of got out of sync with COVID, so we have 2 tanks that we're presenting here. So the price that I put on there, $12,150, that is going to be the price that they quoted us, but if they can come up and do both tanks at one time, they will give us a $1,500 discount. So I guess I would be asking for the price not to exceed $12,150, but then we might get the $1,500 discount. There is one thing with this one, there is some insurance language that's on their contract that we're trying to get worked out. So this motion would be, we would have to wait till we get approval from our insurance company, so it would be kind of contingent on approval from insurance. Attorney Zapp already looked at it, he's good from his point of view, he just likes the insurance stuff on there, so that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Okay.
Lenny, do these tanks have to be drawn way down then to do the inspection?
This one here, they're actually gonna be using submarine, so it's
Good, okay.
Okay, John?
I move to approve the quotes as provided by Nelson Tank Engineering and Consulting for the inspection of the Cox and Chapel Ridge tanks.
Support.
Any questions for Lynn?
Just on the motion, it'll be contingent on the insurance review. And not to exceed $12,150.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for zooming in.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, consider engagement letter with PFM, Financial Advisors.
I think technically we're already engaged with them, but they had to send the letter in order to make it official, and we just want your support. PFM has been the township's financial advisor of record going back to prior bond issues, and Miller Canfield has been the bond counsel. In fact, the first meeting we had was with Mr. Tom Colas, who happens to be helping the landfill authority, but he also represents the city, and I think there's gonna be maybe a separate person from their firm that might have to step in at some point. But this is the bonding for the water treatment plant purchase, as well as the upgrade of the 2 pump stations at Cox and Northwoods, assuming that we get there. Part of the deal there is they will look at our existing debt and determine if something needs to be done there first, because we have direct bank loans, specifically on this building and the fire hall. It may require we refinance those first through bonding, but that might be beneficial to us. But they'll look at it and determine what the best path forward is before we issue new debt and sell new bonds. So just looking for your support on this engagement with PFM.
John?
I move to authorize the engagement letter with PFM FA as presented.
Or
Questions? You might remember I was telling you at the authority with the 2 bonds that they had, one was to consolidate debt because they did not run it through a bond. They got bank loans. This is the same thing that we're doing, that they're gonna look at. John?
There is one other piece that we're still working on, and that's the formal offer letter to the city. And we're just going through the final reviews of that. I'm hoping it'll go out maybe by next week.
It was very well done, John.
Thanks.
Yep, good. Did you have your hand up, Linda? No? Okay, I thought maybe you were
This is
just,
pointing.
okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Consider application for additional service credit purchase. Secretary.
Okay, so one of our employees, Rick Rattari, is requesting to purchase 5 years of generic service credit from MERS. The township board must approve the purchase of the service credit. However, there is no cost to the township. The employee pays the full price for the actuarial cost provided from MERS. And basically what he does is he pre-funds his retirement by buying that 5 years. But the governing authority has to approve the purchase, so.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
John's got something.
Sean?
Yeah, I just want to say that this is authorized through Act 88, which the township participates in.
I'm
Go
not
on.
sure, I don't know if it's a resolution, but I'd like a roll call vote just in case.
Okay.
So trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Everson,
Yes.
trustee Kidda,
Yes.
trustee Marks.
Yes.
Rattari is yes, and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
So if another employee wants to do this, is this a blanket or is this just for him? Is each one done separately?
The process is now that the paperwork is done for the signatories, any of our employees can exercise this option. So what they would do is they would talk to Kim, And then Kim would contact MERS, and they get an actuarial on what it would cost to buy that service time. And then they'd get paperwork back, and then I believe they have, 60 days to make a decision on that? The actuary. And then it would come to us if they decide to exercise that option. It would come to us and we would either approve or disapprove it. But there's no cost to the township on that, so.
Typically, this happens when somebody comes from another employer where they have a retirement plan that they want to put into their current plan. So they're helping catch up, so to speak.
So we would approve every individual.
Yes, and anyone that wanted to exercise this option can do that, yeah.
Does it have to be 5 years or any number?
It's the 5 years is the most you can purchase. It can be anything beyond, under that, but 5 is the most.
Okay. Community updates. Linda, do you want to tell us how Community Day went? It looked busy. It was hot.
It was hot, you're right. It was hot, there were, many people there with families, and we served ice cream,
Ice milk?
ice milk, yeah, and we had lots of activities for the children, along with giveaway bags. So, the other group that was there was our, group that is doing the master plan survey. And so they said to me, I think this is important to know, that most of the people they had conversation with were township residents. So what that says to me is the township residents are attending our event. And then in the evening, we did have a concert by the Maynards, and I came back and I felt like there were about 200 people. People sit in their yards, people came over and sat. I gave away the leftover food we had. And so I guess it was a success from the perspective of we met our goal of promoting our community to our residents.
Yeah, there were a lot of little kids running around. For sure. That's what
There
you want.
were.
Yeah,
There
they were
were.
on with toys and.
Yeah. So thanks for the support for Community Day. Thanks, Dan, for
Thank
being
you
part of
both
our
you
team.
for
Yeah.
Putting this together.
We will be meeting on the 19th and gathering all our people who came and did displays together to get some feedback.
Okay. Do we have our roads report at all?
No, we don't.
Recreation? Separate? No? Okay, just wanted to make sure. And no public comment unless somebody wants to shout out.
Do you wanna plan?
You can, yeah, if something.
So a little bit from the planning commission, I think this is important for people to know. We again approved some short-term rentals. And at this point, I have a list and it appears to me that there are 31 short-term rentals. And, many of them have been approved in the last 2 years. So there's been a lot of discussion about short-term rentals, not only at local levels, but also at the state level. So I don't know that anything's gonna happen at the state level this year, with that. But the other thing, as Lynn mentioned, that's important is that Renovari is bringing their, planned unit development application to the planning commission next Wednesday. So please attend if you are able. I think it's important to hear what they have to say, not just for the planning commission, but for, our board. So it's exciting. I think it's really exciting to look, at workforce housing, and it is one of the top issues in the state with the Marquette, or with the Township Association. Gravel pits, short-term rentals, and another thing.
What is it?
I wrote them down, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
so,
the utilities.
solar and
Yeah,
wind.
solar and wind.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
batteries.
yeah. So Randy and I will talk a little bit about the conference when we get to
So,
that.
on the short-term rentals, the commission has talked numerous times about doing something and talking about limiting them or stopping them or whatever.
Yeah,
They
we're
haven't done
just,
anything.
well, I think it's a big deal. And
Yeah.
I think they wanna get it right.
Yeah,
So they've pulled some other community agreements or whatever to make sure they get it right. I personally, yeah, I'm personally concerned about how they're sort of getting into pods, I would call it. There's a pod of them on the 550 road. There also is, on the application, they indicate that it doesn't affect our emergency services, but, you know, short-term rentals are hotels. They do affect short-term rentals do affect our emergency services. Yeah. They do. See that little shaking head back there?
Any
They
other
do.
announcements? Anything else?
Randy?
Okay.
Okay, so we had the primary election yesterday. Here's some statistics. So in person, we had 420 people. In absentee ballots, we had 719. Early voting, we had 68, which equals 1207 out of 3,738 voters. So around 38% for our primary, which is, I've looked at our historical trends, and it's about where it is. I will encourage the residents, though, and we'll put it on the next couple calendars that go out, but I will really encourage them to take advantage of early voting when it does start, because it wasn't horrible yesterday. It was steady all day, but I could see where we could get lines starting if, you know, we have a pinch point there where you can't. So I would really have them take advantage of the early voting, because they have 9 days of early voting, 8 hours a day, and there's no lines. So you can come in, take your time, keep our workers busy, because they were reading lots of books during that time. So, and but I like to thank the workers. Everything went great, and we got out of here about 10:30 last night. So
How many were there actually for early voting?
68
68.
township residents from us, and then the rest are from Powell Township. So, and just to piggyback on what Trustee Winslow, me and Trustee Winslow attended the MTA conference, the UP Summit at the Island Resort and Casino about 3 weeks ago. And they had some very good classes. They had a lot of good networking options where I hear stories from other places where I find out we're doing a really good job here. Other than other places, it's like, anyway, good election. They had an election update, and they had some excellent classes on, they had actually the legislators there. All 4 UP legislators were there. So we didn't have a lot of time to ask them questions, but they kind of spoke about what's going to happen here the rest of the year, which isn't going to be really much. So I guess other than that, I'll turn it over to Linda if she has some comments on that.
So I agree with Randy. It was really a worthwhile conference. We were really busy, and people stayed in the sessions. So I've been at conferences where people walk out of the sessions before they're finished, but people stayed. And one of the really big highlights was I won a premium pass subscription to our MTA Online Learning Center. I know.
Which is worth $1,900.
So
You might remember we had that and then we canceled it because we didn't think anybody was using it, which they kind of weren't. But
yeah, but this time I would really like to encourage people to use it, and I talked to Lynn about maybe planning some learning sessions, lunch and learn, whatever, where we would actually come and do it, because I know
it's only an hour.
it's
Yeah,
only-
it's on Fridays.
yeah, and I know that we tend to not do it on our own time because we have other things doing. So it says that everybody in our system gets to use it. So that means our employees, right?
That's the way it was when we paid for it.
Yeah, and our attorney?
Certainly.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of an amazing little gift that we got, so that was fun. So yeah, I'll look and see, but I really do suggest we kind of figure out how to use it, even if we come an hour early to this and use it, so.
Yeah, because some of them, like the Friday ones I was saying that I do, those are like live. They just zoom in from Lansing and
Yeah.
for
So-
an hour.
So Lynn's waiting
But
till
there's
we
lots of
got it.
webinars, you know, I mean, planning commission could do it, the rec committee could do stuff, there's just so much that you could access.
Yeah.
I don't know about roads, but
So I did, and the other thing that I'm excited about, during budget session, I'm certainly gonna talk about adding some things to our playground. Certainly a handicap merry-go-round. So I did get a book, and I do know who the person is that this particular company, has. So, I'll be bringing that, so just a heads up, okay?
Put it in the CIP.
Yeah, right, so I'll have to see who has to write that, if not, I'll write it, 'cause I love the merry-go-round that's there, but it goes pretty fast and kids go flying.
I suspect our insurance carrier will want that. I suspect that our insurance carrier will want that merry-go-round that's already there to go away sooner than later.
It's fast.
And just to piggyback on that for the handicapped, yesterday we had a young lady there, was handicapped, and she was the first voter to use our touchscreen voting, and I was really happy for her.
great. Good deal. Okay, any other announcements? All right, you wanna switch to manager's report?
I have two things, really. One of them is staffing, and I'm not going to name names yet, but I want you to know that we have filled our new vacant role, which is the assistant treasurer / assistant clerk for elections, which I think is going to make your clerk a lot happier come November. It actually makes him happier today because he knows that that should be theoretically the last election that he has to fully commit to for 9 days plus election day. I think we really solidified our team with this hire. Should be a real great fit, I think. We had a 5-member interview committee, and I think we were all pretty much unanimous that this is going to be a good addition to our team. The second thing is the funding that Supervisor Durant referred to earlier. That was Section 19 emergency. Give me 1 second. State Disaster Contingency Fund is what the Section 19 funding is. You passed a resolution back in September of 2023 authorizing staff to submit the application for that funding, which we did. And now we know we're getting it's $250,000 to replace a single culvert on Woodridge. If anyone wants to know the cost of dealing with runoff, one culvert is $250,000. This stuff's not cheap. And when you're doing it with the right amount of funding, it's hopefully going to be done right where it will last for a really long time and we don't have to worry about it again, at least with this group. Hopefully not in my career. So that's kind of exciting news. There were some communities that were completely ignored in their applications, so I guess we should consider ourselves fortunate that we were on the list of communities that did receive an award.
John, is that kind of oblong, concrete, egg-shaped kind of culvert?
I believe it is an elliptical culvert, yes. It is concrete.
They put that one in by my house, and what a huge difference that made.
Yeah, just going from round to elliptical, all you have to do is calculate the cross-sectional area of that culvert. A good rule of thumb I always like to use, it's specific to water main, but any pipe. If you double the diameter, you quadruple the open area. So going from round to elliptical, if you kept the profile the same, just increasing it to elliptical, you're probably doubling the capacity of that culvert. In general terms, because every ellipse has its own cross-sectional area, but
Huge rainstorm we had a couple weeks ago, it just unbelievable. My whole yard was flooded. But it didn't go over the road, which in past years with the round culvert that I had in there, that would not be able to handle the capacity and it would go right over the road. But now the new style, and the new style's been in there for probably 18, 20 years, but that was a pretty good rainstorm. 2 inches we had there in 30 minutes or something. Yeah, it handled it just fine, other than my yard flooding a little bit, but
But I'm assuming it drained down fairly fast after
it
that.
goes down very fast.
Storm passed, yeah.
Yes.
Properly sized systems go a long way towards preventing property damage and all that nasty stuff.
And now my pond is very full of dirt. So, and since we have a new drain commissioner, I'm working with him trying to get my problem resolved, and I'm very confident he will get to it within a couple of weeks.
He's been around here multiple times already. He's been keeping
Seems to
busy.
be a great guy. He was left quite a mess by the previous drain commissioner.
Okay, I was thinking when I walked in here about the signs that we were talking about, putting outside, Township Community Center, whatever. Are we gonna put that in the CIP, so we don't forget to do it, or?
I'm trying to get revised cost estimates so the CIP is relatively accurate, at least based on a current budget number. It just hasn't gotten back to the top of the priority list yet. The CIP has not been submitted to the Planning Commission. I'm gonna try to get that in there, along with a couple of other items before they see it.
Okay, I just thought of it when I was walking in. Any questions for John? Okay, then we can review our motions, Ricky.
Okay, so the first motion was to approve the consent agenda as presented. That was approved. The second motion was to approve the regular agenda, and that was approved. The third motion was to approve the quote for the water tank inspections pending the legal or the insurance review, and that was approved. The fourth motion was to approve the engagement letter from PFN for the bonds, and that was approved. And the fifth motion was to approve the service credit purchase for MERS, and that was approved.
Okay. We already talked about the future agenda, those two items. Any other comments from anybody? Linda?
I just have one thing on the master plan update. The bookmarks are ready with the, I don't know, what do you call it? QR code? With the QR code, and I would really encourage everyone to either stop and pick up a bookmark or go to our webpage, scan that QR code, and fill out the survey. The master plan is our plan for the 5 years in the future, and it is really driven by our public. And if we don't get engagement, then it's harder for us to finalize a master plan, and I just encourage you to do that. So I would even encourage the board members to take these and hand these out to your neighbors. And I think there are going to be some paper surveys. That was what I was told. And I think they're going to be in this office, so as well as maybe some local businesses that are close at hand. But go to our webpage, it should be there. And I guess the other thing I might ask is that we email people with this information. We have their emails. Is that something we can do? I mean, I think it's just so important. And if we don't have your email, I would really suggest you get us your email, because in a time of crisis, you're gonna get an email from someone. And better to know what's going on in the township
Well,
right
and
away.
we don't use our email addresses for frivolous things.
Oh, right, and they're
We might do
secure.
it like twice or 3 times a year
Right.
when it's something you really need to know about. So giving us your address is not gonna mean you're gonna get like weekly stuff, you know.
And they're safe, so we don't sell them to anyone. Yeah, so that's my spiel for them.
You have some of those we can take?
I grabbed them from the front.
Oh, okay. By Andrews. Okay.
Sorry, but yeah.
Randy?
And I forgot to mention in the announcements is both of the township proposals have passed by 80%. So we'll have 6 more years of funding for a fire department, for the millage, for the replacement of probably the ladder truck, I'm assuming, and 6 more years of funding for our sheriff's department.
That's for the second shift, which
Second shift.
we have present with us tonight.
So I would like to thank the residents for approving those, and you will see the results of your tax dollars at work.
That's great. Glad you mentioned that. Anything else?
All right, so we'll make a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 subsection C to consider the purchase of lease of real property up to the time an option to purchase or lease that real property is obtained. I need a second on that.
Support.
Okay,
You want a roll call too?
yes, it is a roll call. So Clerk retires, yes. Trustee Everson,
Yes.
Trustee Kidda,
Yes.
Trustee Marks,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent. We are in closed session at 6:07 PM.